One of the brand new horror films coming out this week has been a film that I've been dying to see. Scott Cooper, Del Toro, all investing their creative ideas into a brand new Wendigo story. Yeah, sadly, it's disappointing. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're going to be discussing Antlers, which for me I found to be sadly disappointing. This movie is about a town, an isolated Oregon town in fact, a middle school teacher and her sheriff brother who become embroiled with her student, who has dark secrets who have led to a terrifying encounter with a legendary creature who came before them. This is once again directed by Scott Cooper, written by Scott Cooper, and it's also produced by Del Toro, who assisted heavily in the creature design for this movie. They've both been hyping this movie up for, honestly, years since I've heard the concept. This movie has been delayed multiple times. So I had some hope that maybe Disney was like, hey, we're not going to sell this to a streaming service. This is going to be a special movie to go and see on Halloween. And I don't know if I'll be on the minority on this, but again, I walked out pretty disappointed in this. I still find there to be some pros to this, and I like what they were going for. The entirety of the movie just didn't work for me, and I found it to be a little bit dull. We'll talk about that in a second, but I do want to say, guys, if you guys are new here and you love talking movies, then this is really the channel for you guys. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as comment down below and let me know your guys' thoughts. Are you guys still excited for Antlers? Do you disagree with me? Let's discuss it all down there. Like any review, let's start with the pros. And one of the pros I want to give this movie is the amazing creature design of the Wendigo. This creature, I've always been fascinated with the lore, the mythology, and in general the designs of different movies, games, or whatever you may say uses this creature, because it is a very fascinating creature to the background of the ancestral lands and legends, especially when it comes down to Native Americans, and it is really touching. I remember I have one friend who, her family had many different stories about the Wendigos, and I always thought it was very fascinating and creepy to me. And this movie plays on the creature design in a very unique and enigmatic way that I found to be very scary. When the creature is on the screen, it is terrifying. The design, the gore, all of that stuff is wonderfully made, and you can definitely tell that Del Toro had a giant hand in that. I haven't had this kind of vibe of a creature design probably since Pan's Labyrinth or one of the Hellboy movies, but it works wonders in here, and that is absolutely the best part of the entire film. And as well, I also thought the performances were pretty good. Kerry Russell's good, Jesse Plemons is good, and the young kid in here, Jeremy T. Thomas, I want to give a shout out to, because as a kid actor, he was actually very well convincing in here, and he has a meteor role in all this, and probably the most singular important role of this entire film. Graham Greene also shows up in here, and I just love when he shows up in movies. Can we get more of him? I actually wish he was in this film more. Now, this is where we kind of come down to my mixed aspects, and this is where I think the film somewhat deters to itself. I mentioned a little bit earlier that when they show the creature design, and when they do, sometimes it's a bit too dark. Some of the cinematography in here, truly for me, I didn't think blow it out of the water. Some of it's amazing. And then some of the time it seems like they're playing with the audience, trying to hide the creature. And for me, it's like, either hide it or show it. I understand the psychological tension amount of it, of hiding this and whatever it's going to be, but I expected a little bit more from that. As well with the mixed aspects, I understand that not all of these characters are going to completely understand what is going on, but when they finally start to envelop what is going on, it's a heavy exposition scene that just sits there to say, hey, this is what's going on. Now continue with the story. And I sat there and I'm like, really? That's how you're going to tell the story? Like, it should have been fleshed out a little bit more throughout it all. That's kind of where it takes me to my cons, to which leads this film to being a disappointment for me. There's multiple things in here that I just found dull. And it wasn't the performances, it wasn't the creature design. In fact, it was just overall the entire story. I think the story in general could have worked. It's more of a drama than anything of a horror film, and that's fine. I love when horror can dive into a subgenre of dramatic tension and all sorts of things like that, and really much focusing in on the characters, but sadly the characters are so one-noted. Yes, there's certain elements to find out about them, and that's all cool and dandy. I'm all fine and dandy finding out those things, but in the way that it's told, I just sat there going, I've seen this so many times before. and I wanted more from that. The film is not that long, and I feel like it needed more of a runtime to actually tell this story and really much give these characters a flavor to something to bite on, because other than that, they're just very uncharacteristics and don't even get me towards the third act, which again has some amazing and brutal kills. But there are some decisions that they make with the creature during some certain face-offs with certain main characters that I sat there and I'm going, no way in hell that would have happened. Like, I'm sorry, but unbelievable in my opinion. That's kind of where it dives down a little bit even deeper, is that, yes, this is a horror film with a subgenre of drama. That's fine. I wasn't scared at all throughout this. None of the jump scares grabbed me. None of the kills were like, oh my god, that's amazing. Like, the kills were cool, but like nothing blew me out of the water. This film just felt like something I have seen so many times before, but done better. And while the creature design was cool, I expected a lot more from that, a lot more from the mythology being built up, and not just some one-way exposition scene that honestly, if you took out of the movie, maybe it could have changed like one or two things, but slightly nothing in my opinion. I expected Antlers to be like seriously one of the best films of 2021, at least when it comes down to horror. And if you think that, I'm very happy, and I wish I could have, because I was so excited for this one, and I did check my expectations at the door, hearing some words from other critics of mine and other friends, and then I walked in and I was like, okay, I'm going to give this an open mind. Pretty excited, but let's keep my mind open. And as the film just kept playing out, I just sat there going, God, I'm not into this. And I never could get into this movie, sadly. So disappointed to say the least. I thought Antlers had some amazing creature effects, and it looks amazing. But it's barely there, and the movie feels like itself as a drama that just never grabs me. It's purely dull, and it's filled with some great performances and great moments, but they're far and few between, and it's a movie that just couldn't get me attached to its story. I don't think this is a terribly made movie. I just don't think they had a story to tell here, and it feels like they had this Wendigo story and this dramatic story, and they're like, hey, let's mix the two together. Or at least they had like the creature design. They're like, well, what story could we put this in? Well, I have this script. Let's mix them together. Again, it just never came together for me. And I feel like this script needed a couple more rewrites to really help with its overall build. So with all that said, I'm going to give Antlers a C-. So thank you once again, guys, for watching this. You guys are seriously all the best. As a big thank you to our sponsor of this video, the Scottsdale International Film Festival. If you're in the Arizona area, get your tickets now. But in general, guys, if you're new here, hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below your guys' thoughts. I'm really curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this film. And of course, make sure to head on over to Sam Chun Films on how to see films early. And of course, there's a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Because without you, I would not be able to do this. So of course, until next time, stay classy.